SMQBs, it's episode 190. We are 10 episodes away from branding the two remaining unmarked SMQBs. We're getting there, fellas. We're getting there.
You don't say branding to guys who are in a fraternity. You just don't say that.
Pope.
We don't talk about that.
Who are you bringing to the bar this week, Pope?
This is a little off the normal beaten path, but I don't know if you guys saw it, but last night the Dallas Wings of the WNBA got the first pick in the lottery.
Paige Beckers, here we come.
Yeah. So I'm taking Kurt Miller, who I will confess I did not know who it was until about 5 minutes ago. But anyway, I'm taking Kurt because he's the new GM for the Dallas Wings after being fired by the LA Sparks. He is going to tell me what their plan is on drafting Paige, Buchers, and what are we going to do to get some excitement going. We'll have Caitlin, Angel Reese, all them coming to town. What are we going to do to get some excitement for Dallas WNBA? I think that'd be kind of fun.
All right. Rooster, who you bringing?
You know who I'm bringing. Danny Cutlets.
Danny Jones.
Tommy Cutlets. Tommy Cutlets.
Tommy Cutlets.
Tommy DeVito. I'm going to take him to the bar. We're going to drink a little Chianti, and I'm going to say, look, man, you're taking a fall in the second half. There's no winning. There's no winning at this point. We want Shedeur. We want Shedeur Sanders. Do not
Shedeur
win.
Sweepstakes.
That's right, baby.
Oh,
do we have to see more of his agent now? That guy's terrible.
Absolutely.
Do we have to? Do we get to?
I think we get to. I don't know. Maybe.
All right, Milk.
You'll see him Sunday. I'm going to bring Iron Mike Tyson.
I like it.
For those of
I like it.
You too. And I'm going to try to get him drunk and figure out if this whole thing was just a freaking scam, because that was one of the worst fights I've ever seen. I don't know if I was just delusional that he was still 34 years old and was back to his old self, but he looked like a 60-year-old man and couldn't walk. And I was
when he came out with a knee brace on,
I knew it was over.
He sort of had a clue, right?
I'm pissed off I didn't bet on it. That was an easy bet. Should have taken Jake Paul. Tyson really should not get back in the ring. That was terrible, and I stayed up way too late waiting for that. The fight before that was really good. The two chicks, I forgot their names, but they beat the shit out of each other. It was a good boxing match.
All right. Well, I'm going to bring one Alex Ovechkin, because this guy is on an unbelievable tear. Going into the season, pretty much everybody thought he would catch Gretzky and pass him next year, probably first half of the season next year. But here we are. Last night, he had a hat trick, his 31st career hat trick. And after 17 games played this year, he's got 13 goals, 10 assists. He's plus 13, and he is only 29 goals away from passing Gretzky for the all-time NHL goal leader. So, Father Time is caught up to Mike Tyson, but he certainly hasn't caught Ovechkin yet, who's just been on an absolute heater. So that's who I'm bringing to the bar.
All right.
All right, let's get to it. NFL Week 11 is in the books. Almost. We always have this Monday night thing that we got to worry about. But Rooster, what are we talking about this week?
Well, this week, finally, the marquee matchups kind of lived up to the billing. The Bills-Kansas City game was fantastic. Kind of capped off by this 28-yard 4th and 2 touchdown run by Josh Allen, which Jim Nance sort of over dramatically dubbed the play of the year.
What a shock. Nance over dramatic.
Yeah. He had to walk it back. He had to walk it back pretty right after.
He was doing his best Chris Collins work there. I think.
Tony Romo didn't jump out of the booth.
Yeah.
Excitement.
Yeah. It was a really good game. Kansas City finally has one in the loss column, which may be good for them because they're really not an undefeated team. That pressure's off them now. They can focus on what they need to do to win the Super Bowl. And one thing is, how about involving Travis Kelce? I mean, what's going on with what is going? And it's almost like they're doing time management with him like the NBA players do. And all of a sudden he's like Joel Embiid. But why would you do that in the Bills game? I mean, I don't think he got a pass thrown his way in that game. I just don't understand it. Look, it's kind of seemed like they were trying out Xavier Worthy for the playoffs to see if he could, if he could step up. But I don't know how you do that to your fans in the biggest game of the year against the Bills. And you don't want to give the Bills too much confidence because they came into that game thinking that we just can't beat the Chiefs. So anyway, that was a great marquee matchup. Turned out to be a great game. Unfortunately,
it was a great run though, man. That was
that
was an exciting play at home. To ice the game. That was a big moment.
Yep. Unfortunately, the first marquee game of the week was the Thursday night game. Unfortunately for Bison, the Eagles outlasted Washington basically based on the legend, my man Saquon Barkley, taking the game over late in the fourth quarter with some great runs, winning 26-18. But I know there's no such thing as a moral victory, but geez, Washington is 2 years ahead of schedule, and they just are. Jaden Daniels is hurt. You could tell he wasn't running at all. He's protecting his ribs, and still they look good. They play smart. They just need a little bit more talent on defense at this point.
Sexy Rexy came out, Rex Ryan, and said, he was like, look, Washington's not elite yet. And this is kind of what I've been saying. I mean, they're not. They're not an elite Super Bowl contending team at this point. Now, having said that, they could win out the rest of the way. Because they've got some pretty weak games coming up, and they should make the playoffs. But they're definitely not an elite.
They remind me of some of the Giants teams in the 80s when Phil Simms took them to 2 straight Super Bowls. I mean, that team wasn't elite, but they played every aspect of the game well. Yeah, and they had wide receivers like Phil McConkey, who no one ever heard of. But everyone was playing their position. Nobody was out of position. They played special teams. I think Washington is well coached right now, and they're playing well. And they just need to plug in a few spots. And next year they're going to be really good. The third marquee game that the house kind of pegged was Steelers Ravens, which turned into a bit of a NFC North AFC North dud, 18-16. I mean, typical. Pittsburgh wins the game without scoring a touchdown. They scored 18 points on field goals.
Not a good weekend not to start Boswell.
Chris Boswell.
Right.
Yeah. I have him in my other league, thank God, but I still got spanked. Chris Boswell, was one of the few premier kickers who's holding up right now. If you remember in the first couple of weeks, we were like, man, the kickers are on fire. They can't miss from 50 and out, and everybody else is behind the 8 ball. And now all of a sudden, best kickers in the league are missing everything. You got
and they're getting blocked. Game-winning field goals are getting blocked.
Well, you've got your man that you have on your fantasy team, Pope, on the Ravens. All of a sudden, just can't make a field goal.
Tucker,
Tucker, the kicker for the Eagles can't make a field goal. He's
Elliott,
great kicker. Just crazy what's happening to the kickers.
What about McPherson last night?
Yeah, McPherson for the Bengals. That was another matchup that some people were looking forward to. Like I said last week, Justin Herbert is finally able, with a really good head coach, to play his game, and he is going to continue to get better because they play smash mouth football now. They have a big offensive line. Joe Alt, it was their draft pick. They run the ball well. They picked up this running back, from the Ravens, who everyone had written off because of injuries, and that guy's just running great. And they beat the Bengals 34-27.
And they have their either Cooper Kupp or Edelman guy now, McConkey.
Well, I told you guys.
I know. Every time he does something, I think of you, Rooster.
He's a seasoned route runner with great hands, and he's got good speed, and he's got an elite quarterback. I mean, how's he not going to have good games.
Well, I mean, the game-winning drive they had, he had 2 huge completions and ran perfect routes.
Yep.
Is
So
there-
I think the one remaining marquee matchup, and it's not so much a marquee because of the teams, but maybe more because they're in-state rivals, is tonight the Texans and the Cowboys. I mean, Cowboys are kind of toast, but the Texans have lost 2 straight. They need to rebound and make sure, everyone's talking about CJ Stroud is in this sophomore slump. He's got Nico Collins returning tonight. Let's see if he can pull them out of this slide that they're in and get back to sort of an elite level of play, because they can easily win that division and go to the playoffs. They just have to stop losing. My God.
Well, that won't be a problem tonight. The cure-all ails is play the Cowboys at home.
Well,
We'll see.
yeah.
Let's hope that was my Lexico last week. So
If they get within 25, that would be a moral victory for Jerry.
So
there were
so Jake Paul has more wins at Jerry World this year than the Cowboys do, huh?
I saw all those.
100%.
That's true.
Love it.
Classic.
Love it. I love it.
So there were 3 really kind of unexpected standout individual performances. Bison, what are your thoughts on Bo Nix now after this last week?
Oh, I don't know.
300 over 300 yards.
I don't know.
4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and they spanked the Falcons.
Yeah, that was a surprise.
Yeah,
38-6.
I don't know. Is he the second best quarterback in the rookie class?
I don't know. Well, who's the first? Your guy?
Jay.
Yeah.
What about Drake May? 282 yards, 2 touchdowns.
May's looking good. He looks like
is.
he's going to be a good player.
He's just now starting.
Yeah, he hasn't played enough to be in the
He can run the ball too. He looked good. But the crazy one was Inspector Gadget, Taysom Hill, rushed for 3 touchdowns, ran for 138 yards, had a 50-yard special teams play.
Another guy didn't start.
42-yard. He caught 50 yards worth of passes, and he threw a pass for 18 yards.
Yeah, that's a pretty good day.
That's a pretty good day.
That's a good tight end day.
So
right, yeah.
I think the other categories of games can be broken down to good teams, bad records, maybe still alive. And in that category, I put your team, Milk, the Bucks.
Really?
Good team. They've got too many injuries right now, so you're losing games. When are you going to get Mike Evans back?
We're getting him back for the Giants. So
okay, how
about
Godwin? How about Godwin?
Godwin's out for the year.
He's done.
So we're only going to have.
How about your offensive line? Is that going to get shored up a little bit?
I don't know about Wirfs. We'll see.
Yeah.
If
you can get Wirfs and Evans back and healthy, I think you have a shot, because you're 4-7, but you're 4-6, but the Falcons have 5 losses.
Milk, you're
one game back in the loss column.
The next 3 games are
Giants. They beat us twice.
Giants, Panthers, and Raiders are your next 3 games, Milk.
Look,
our run the table.
Fine.
And then you play the Cowboys and the Panthers? That's not even fair.
No, our first 10 games were against 9 out of our first 10 games were against teams with winning records. We've had an unbelievably hard schedule. Finally, it's getting easier.
Yeah, it's getting easier, and Kirk Cousins is in a fucking downward spiral. What's going on?
I would love for a slide to happen there. We're not yesterday's Broncos win was huge for us. So we'll see.
Kirk Cousins hasn't thrown a touchdown in 2 games.
I'm very worried about Tommy Cutlets.
You should be. You should be. I am too. I don't want him.
Beware of the backup.
Hey, we got to talk about
unless it's Cooper Rush
about Detroit.
Oh,
Detroit is putting their stamp on the season right now, and if you had Jared Goff and Jahmyr Gibbs in your fantasy team, that was pretty brilliant drafting, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who has both those guys on his team in our league.
Might be you.
Maybe Bison. But anyway, that's what they should have done to Jacksonville, right? And yes. Boy, they look like. Are they in a league of their own in the NFC? Is it just them and then everybody sort of else?
I think so.
In the NFL?
Well, maybe.
I mean, I think
I
the
have them
Bills
like
and
that.
the Chiefs would still give them maybe
I
the
have them as
Ravens.
the best team in the NFL.
Yeah, but they run away in the NFC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my point. I mean, they're just, I don't think, I mean, Philadelphia is probably second in the NFC right now. And I think there's a pretty big gap, although Philly has gotten better and better every week,
Right.
especially on defense. So maybe that closes by the end of the year. But at least as far as the NFL goes, you put Detroit, they may be the best team, but the Bills and the Chiefs are, I think, in their league at least, right?
Right. Detroit did it the right way too. They built an offensive line first. They were a really
Yeah.
good offensive line, underrated.
Yeah.
But how about the Jags? I mean, is Doug Peterson going to be coach next game this week? You think? You think he makes it to the next game?
He'd be
Pretty
out by
sure
now.
Mac Jones is selling insurance next year.
Oh hell
He
yes!
does not need to be in the NFL anymore.
No hell.
Yeah.
He made it clear that it wasn't just a New England problem.
No.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
The other thing is, do the Jets even want Aaron Jones back next year? And Aaron Rodgers?
Oh boy. I mean, did you see that stat that Zach Wilson
Yeah.
Yeah.
and Sam
Darnold.
Darnold both have better winning percentages as Jets than Aaron Rodgers?
Aaron
Have they
Rodgers
gotten
is a
worse?
fraud.
I
They're
think they're
worse
worse
with
than
him
last
as
year.
their
Worse.
quarterback,
Well, they got worse since they fired Salah.
right?
Devontae Adams, Aaron
They're-
Rodgers.
They're a mess. They're
They're
just a
bad.
complete mess.
They have
of a
they
team.
have the makings of a really good defense, and they have thrown in the towel on defense. They
Oh, they're
Just don't
totally
care.
quitting now.
they totally quit on the team, and it's because I think of Aaron Rodgers.
They just need to hand the
Yeah.
ball to Brees Hall.
So
and
they're
just
in the
let
shit
go.
show category of teams that would include the Panthers, the Giants, the Jags, the Browns, and maybe now the Falcons
And the Cowboys.
Cowboys. I mean, my
How
God,
about
Raiders.
is there a team that has had two like more heartbreaking losses than the Bears this season?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, a blocked field goal, not a long one, a blocked field goal, which by the way, did you see that they are sending the tape to the league saying that you can't line up over the long snapper, right? And
Right.
they're
Just
saying
bury his head.
yeah, and they're complaining that there should have been a penalty on the play because somebody was lined up over top of them. But to lose on a blocked field goal, and then of course the Hail Mary in DC, man, those are two rough losses to end games. Those could be two more wins for them.
They need a new coach.
And they've had
Yeah.
so many problems with
Well, I mean, I don't know if you watched the game, but I had a problem with what they did on the last drive. They should have made it an easier field goal. They just kind of gave up and just like tried to run to the right hash. I hate that. That bothers me on just generally speaking. Get the ball as close as you can because margin of error in the NFL for field goals is pretty tight.
Right.
I thought the kick just looked weird from the start.
It did. It
It
didn't.
didn't get high enough. Well,
and
why
he
didn't it
was,
get
like,
high enough?
slow. He was,
Because
like,
the further the field goal, the angle is lower getting it out.
Yeah, but that wasn't a long field goal. Was it 46
it
yards?
wasn't that
48,
Yeah.
48? Come on.
That's
yeah,
Come on, that's
for
automatic in the
under
NFL
50
now.
should be
I don't know.
pretty-
What is the percentage of 48-yard field goals? About
uh,
55, 60%?
it's for NFL kicker?
Yeah.
Should be. But I felt like he was like, it was weird when I was watching it live and like he hiked it and like he was just like walking almost. I don't know.
The Bears do not have a good attitude. They kind of remind me of the Jets in a way. I mean, even Roma Dunze, who I think is a really good, hardworking young guy, just seems down. You know, there's no energy on that sideline. The opposite of, say, the Cardinals. Speaking of the Cardinals, the NFC West has three teams who are 5-5. So the Cardinals are in first place at 6-4, which to me means if the damn Niners would ever get healthy and get their head out of their ass, they could still win that division. We'll see.
Yeah.
Bad loss to Seattle in the last
Terrible loss, and the coaching.
12 seconds.
Some of the coaching decisions are not great.
Yeah.
But so I think the Niners are still in it. But what about the Bengals? We keep talking about the Bengals. They're clearly
Boy, That was a
Clearly
bad
talented
loss.
team.
Is there
That was a bad
quarterback
loss.
that has been shit on more by his defense than Joe Burrow? That guy's having a fucking phenomenal year, by the way. Phenomenal. And
Yeah.
you know how I feel about Burrow. Love that guy. If he was on any other, his defense is terrible. Terrible.
Another team that needs a new coach, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, I think
he's thrown like 4 picks this year or something.
So Jamar Chase came out today and basically shit on the head coach.
yeah.
Yeah, that's unacceptable.
Well, the Bengals play home against the Steelers this well, they have a bye, but next game, and I would say that's a must win. I mean, they're almost in, they have to go like 5-2 or 6-1, because the Broncos are 6-5 and they hold the last wild card right now. Bengals are 4-7. I mean, that last night was a huge loss.
So, guys, after week 11, who do you think are your MVP candidates?
MVP.
Josh Allen has to.
Josh Allen. Josh
Yeah.
Allen has to be, right? I
Right.
mean, I guess do you put, is Jared Goff up there?
If it weren't for one game, he clearly would be up there. Threw 5 picks two games ago, so maybe he'll get past that. But yes,
God, I hate to say this, but Jalen Hurts.
No.
He's
I would
having a
see
pretty good year.
I
Look
would.
at the stats.
I think you need to put Saquon Barkley in that as a contender.
Saquon's for sure up there.
Yeah.
I mean, Saquon, it just looks like the best player in the NFL. I think you also, except for yesterday, you could put King Henry in there too.
Right.
Up until yesterday's game. So I don't know. How do you not put Mahomes in there? They're 9-1, right?
He sucks. He's having a terrible year.
He is.
Have you seen his stats?
For him,
I mean, he's got nobody to throw to most of the season, and has kept them 9-0 until this week.
So is there a chance that the Chiefs, kind of go mediocre towards the rest of the year? Is there a chance they go like 4-3, 3-4, something like that, or is it just a one-off and you still see them winning with 2 or 3 losses?
I think they're going to lose a couple because they the law of averages. They didn't deserve to be 9-0. Maybe that's not the right way of saying it. They had so many
absolutely right
close games that went their way that a win is a win in the NFL, but over time, if you're winning by 2 points, that's going to catch up with you at some point. It just sort of evens out.
Of course, their next 2 games are the Panthers and Raiders. So much for the losing streak.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Chargers at Chiefs.
It gets harder though.
Be a good game.
Yeah, I think so.
Don't sleep on the Chargers.
No.
I'm telling you, Jim Harbaugh made a huge difference. So anything else?
Well, so next week, we got Harbaugh Bowl again. We got Ravens at Chargers.
Excellent.
On Monday night.
All right.
That'll be good.
Oh, that'll be a good one.
All right.
And you know what else we got this week? Pope, I know you're not thinking about it because you got a game tonight, but it's Dallas week in Washington.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
You guys get to kick our ass on national television for the afternoon Turkey Bowl.
Nice.
Yeah, well, it's a good segue, right? I saw where you were going with the Plaxicos, because do you know what the spread is in Dallas, in the DC in that game? Dallas getting 10 right now.
Oh, that's embarrassing.
That's not enough. That's not enough.
Is the Thanksgiving game Giants Cowboys? Oh God.
Oh God,
do I have to?
Jeez. Well, just load up another plate of food. There's no reason to go back to the living room. Just keep eating. Just keep eating.
Let's move on to the Plaxico locks then. After week 11, I'm at 7-3. House is 7-4, and that's because my game for week 11 is tonight. I picked the Texans -7.5 now, no, it's now -7.5, right? Or no, it's moved to 7, but when I picked them, it was 7.5.
Whatever you bet it at.
Versus the Cowboys. House took the Packers -6 over the Bears, and they won by 1 point, so he got a loss. Milk picked Denver and got the win. Denver was
Yes.
-2.5, and they won by 32.
All right.
Hope picked. Who did you pick? The Eagles.
Yep.
-3. They got the win. Won by 8 over Washington. Bison. Sorry, man. Picked the Bengals +1.5 at the Chargers.
You should have won that.
And
Yeah.
Bengals lost 28-34. So I'm 7-3. House is 7-4. Milk is 6-4-1. Hope is 6-5, and Bison is 4-7. Does anybody have House's pick?
No,
I didn't see it.
I don't.
Check.
Did he not
Check.
call it one?
I
he didn't
see
call
it.
one in.
I didn't see it. He sent in the chart, but it wasn't on the chart.
Fairly unusual.
All right.
I guess we'll have to pick for him.
We'll get it from we'll get it from him
Let's
later.
give him no, he wants to take the Cowboys.
That might not be a bad
He
pick.
wants the-
10 points. That's a lot of points.
He said he was
Points are a lot
finished.
of points.
He said he
I'm
was
pretty
finished.
sure he
with the-
does not want to pick the Cowboys.
All right, who's going first?
All right, I'll go first. I'm going to take the Steelers -3.5 at the Browns.
Okay, that's what I was going to pick. This is why I'm
I'll
in
I'll
last
go
place.
second.
Hope Milk is next.
All right.
I'm gonna take. Who are the Broncos playing?
I think
Raiders.
They
I'll take. Is it 5.5?
Yeah,
Minus
5.5.
5.5? Yeah, give me Denver. I have a crush on Denver right now. I love this team.
-5.5.
-5.5.
Okay. Hope.
I'm going to take the Lions, giving 7.5 at the Colts.
That seems low.
Exactly.
All right, Bison.
Well, it's kind of an unfair system here because when you're last and then you pick last, you keep getting the
Yeah, I don't know how
dredges
we
here.
figured that.
That was your
But-
cousin. It was your cousin who came up with that, Bison.
Well, yeah.
But wasn't it reverse? Wasn't it if you have if you're worse, you pick first?
All right, let's
That's all
start
right. I'm gonna
starting
take-
next
that's
week.
okay.
That's what we'll do.
That's okay. I'm going to take Arizona -1 at Seattle. I think Seattle's got some issues right now. I think their center just retired at age 27, and
Yeah.
that's not a good spot for a team to be. So I'll take Arizona.
Really hampered him last night. All right.
Wow,
Look,
that's
I'm-
a-
I'm-
that's a-
Arizona's
double
playing. Arizona's coming off a bye though, and they're playing well. I don't believe in Seattle.
all right. I'm double
Coming
checking
off
the
a bye, I'm
chart.
betting against them.
Double checking the chart, and I don't see a pick for House.
Let's give them the Cowboys. Actually, let's give them the Giants.
Isn't his default pick the Eagles if he doesn't have a pick?
Right. Well,
He'll send
we'll
it
let
in.
him.
Yeah, he'll
He'll
send
send
it.
it in.
He'll
He'll
send
send
it.
one in.
All right. Good luck, everyone.
All right, Milk. You can do a little college football for us.
Sure. I think Rooster and I have to start off with an apology though to one Carson Beck. After we dogged the shit out of him last week. He apparently hurt us because he responded with a dominating performance against Tennessee. 347 yards, threw 2 TDs. He ran one in two, right? So 3 TDs in the biggest game of the year. Wow. Tennessee looked bad on defense. They couldn't get to the quarterback. Georgia, 5 sacks. Nico looked very pedestrian, couldn't get anything done. They were all over him all night. I just, after what we thought Georgia was fading away, they are right back in the mix.
What a gut check. They're down 10-0. And, you're like, wow, is Georgia going to even show up? Because they're out of the playoffs if they lose that game.
Yes. And now Tennessee Well, they're still in it, but I didn't see that coming. I thought Tennessee was going to go in there and win that game, and Georgia proved me wrong. So that was exciting. We had some teams I think officially eliminated from contention. I gotta give props to Napier. Bit
Are
hard on
you?
him.
Big
Oh.
upset. Big
Whoa.
upset.
That was unfortunately now
You want an
beating
extension, right? You want an extension.
beating a 6-3 team
Hey.
who's 22nd in the country is a big deal now, which is pitiful. But they look good. I think LSU's gone. Brian Kelly might be gone.
I was about to say, you want
too.
Brian Kelly? He's available.
Man, I'll tell you,
by the
Brian
way,
Kelly. I caught. Did you see Brian Kelly on the sideline yelling at one of
Yes.
his receivers, yelling,
Everybody
"Who
saw
the
it.
fuck
Everybody.
do you think you are?" And
Yeah.
Brian Kelly's got a lot of fucking balls to be yelling at somebody on the team. Who do you think you are, man? Wow.
He's been
every
angry
time
all
a guy
year.
came off the field.
Did he do it in his fake
Quarterback-
Cajun accent?
Yeah,
no kidding.
probably. You could see it on reading lips. His bad
Send him
Cajun
packing.
accent. Yeah.
He's a dick. He was literally every player. I mean, he was having these side one-off conversations, clearly yelling at all of them. So they're gone. Good riddance. Pitt blows one, gives it to Clemson. They take the lead. And Clemson goes back and scores. They're done. I think K-State's done. I think BYU's probably gone. I mean, I guess that was one of the bigger upsets.
Well, BYU still controls their destiny. They can win the Big 12 championship, and they get the bye. But they're not going to get an at-large after that loss to Kansas.
Right. So top 12, Pope would disagree with me if I'm wrong. I've got Oregon, and this is in no particular order, who, by the way, survives a scare at Wisconsin.
Yeah,
Wisconsin
that was
that game.
unimpressive win.
Yeah,
Very
Wisconsin had a
impressive.
chance to win the game. They had the ball, chance to win.
Oregon has been shaky all year, in my opinion. I mean, they've had some good games, but they've had a lot of close calls this year. I'm not sold on them at all. You've got Indiana and Ohio State this weekend. That's the big game this weekend.
I predict a blowout.
Yeah.
I think
Ohio
Indiana's
State
going
to
to
blow
get
out?
exposed. Yeah, Indiana's going to get exposed.
All right. Then we're gonna figure out what to do with Indiana.
Right.
Texas, Penn State, Bama's, of course, there. Georgia's back in it. Notre Dame is there. I think the big game is Army this weekend. I think Army's overmatched. Probably will go the way of Navy and lose, but I would love to see Army beat Notre Dame. I got Tennessee, Miami, Ole Miss. Watch out, going to Florida this weekend. Let's see what happens.
Oh.
And
No, what'd you think
Toby
of
will hate-
Texas? What'd you think of Texas against Arkansas? I thought that was another unimpressive win.
That was a meh.
Yeah.
that was, but I was
something's
not
wrong with
shocked.
Ewers.
I wasn't shocked by that at all. Arkansas at home is not a bad team. They
It's
beat
not,
Tennessee
but-
earlier this year. I wasn't surprised by that.
I don't know how good this Texas team is. I don't think we know. I mean, they lost the biggest game of the year. They haven't
Yeah,
really
that's true.
they haven't beat any ranked teams.
So who is the best team?
I don't.
I mean, how do you say it's not Oregon? They beat
don't-
Ohio State.
And you have to
Number
say it's
2.
Oregon, but I don't know if they are. I don't know.
Yeah,
But they
I
just
know.
they just beat Wisconsin by 3.
Oregon had an off week, and Wisconsin can be a tough team, but they had an off week. But I've seen them play when their offense looked like, the greatest show on turf with when the Rams were playing in the Super Bowl.
I think there's an argument that the best team in the country is Tulane. No, Tulane's not the best team in the country, but somebody had to mention them. Somebody had to mention them.
I had
Come on.
cricket wireless kicked in. Did you say something?
I'm
You
sorry,
froze. You froze.
Somebody had to give them props in House's absence here. They got an
Hey,
outside
look.
shot right at the
Look,
playoff. don't they?
SMU survived a tough game against Boston College.
Yeah.
They went
Everyone's
out.
to laugh at
Well-
Boston College, but now when they beat them, it's a good.
They went out. They're in the AC championship, probably against Miami, who hadn't won a big game either. So there's a lot of teams. I sent you guys a stat. I don't have it in front of me, but There's like 5 or 6 teams in the top 10 who haven't played more than one ranked team, and some haven't played any ranked teams. So,
but it's all going to get sorted out because we're going to have championship games, right? So
yeah.
But here's my
Yeah,
question.
but what are you going to do with the 1-loss or 2-loss teams that don't make championship games that you're not that impressed
it's going to be really annoying when you have to put like Indiana in.
Yeah. Yeah, over like, Tennessee or Ole Miss or one of those teams.
God, and
Do
I
we have-
fucking
do we-
love.
Are there any parameters for who gets in? Like, how do they decide who gets in? Does it come from different conferences, or what's the
I still
story?
don't know.
It's subjective. It's the eye test. There's no computer, rankings are going to spit it out. It's the committee.
It's the committee decides, and there's nothing, because House kept talking about like one of the non-Power 5 schools getting a
No,
slot.
they do.
Is that that's what I'm
Yeah.
asking.
No,
What
that's,
is the parameters?
that's true. That's why Boise State's in.
That's why Boise State is in. They'll be number 12.
So one team from outside the Power 5 is guaranteed a slot.
The champion.
Yes,
Yeah, correct.
but the champions all get in too.
Right.
Okay.
So
All right. So there are parameters.
and then
But here's some scenarios for you, right? So Alabama, who looks like they're on a roll now, they could get into the SEC championship game against the winner of Texas and Texas A&M. And if they lose that game, then they will have 3 losses. Are you going to put a 3-loss Alabama team in the playoffs when they just lost a championship game? And let me give you a story. So I'm flying back from Atlanta yesterday. I'm sitting next to this guy in a Georgia pullover who went to the game in Athens, and he was excited because they're not going to make the championship game, and he says he thinks they're in now regardless because of that win and beating Texas, and he's like, that's a bye for us. We don't have to play a really good team in the SEC championship. Well, and then we get a home game against like an Indiana or a Notre Dame. Think about that.
yeah.
Interesting.
Well, but that's going to happen more and more now with 12 teams. You're going to have
Right,
these teams that don't look at Notre Dame. Well,
But do you want?
freaking?
I mean, if you're
problem,
Alabama, I think Alabama's probably in now if they don't make the SEC championship game and lose. So do you even want to go to the SEC championship game? I mean, yeah, you get a bye if you win, but that's another brutal game to play, whoever it is.
Yeah, but
Just
you're
a little
right. You
food
get
for
a
thought
buy
for
and your seed skyrockets. So I guess there's benefits.
So yeah, it'll be
Yeah,
interesting to see what happens.
Yeah.
So what do we have
Interesting.
this week? What do we have? We have Indiana, Ohio State. We got any other big ones?
Keep an eye
Let's
on Ole
see.
Miss. We got
By the way,
Boise State plays
by the way,
everybody.
Shedeur Sanders cemented his position as my top pick for first quarterback taken in the draft.
Look, it's not going to happen, but how awesome would it be if Colorado got in somehow? Like, that would be amazing.
They could win the Big 12, and
They actually, I think they will.
I think they're going to beat BYU.
They're going to beat BYU. BYU's, yeah, absolutely.
I guess Army Notre Dame's the other big game this week,
Yeah,
right?
I think
implications.
Notre Dame will crush them just like they did Navy.
Well, it's got implications, so it's a big one.
Well, it's got implications maybe for Tulane, because Tulane really needs Army to beat Notre Dame.
Yeah, but it has implications for whoever's going to get that slot, that non-Power 5 slot.
Assuming
even though
Boise State loses.
That's right. I mean, it depends, but it's a relevant game. So
I think, and
All
if
although I don't know, maybe you put
gotta
an
get rid of
undefeated Army
Guys,
team
guys,
in there
don't
after
talk-
they beat Notre Dame.
yeah,
they're not beating Notre Dame. There's no way. That game's at Yankee Stadium, by the way. That's kind of cool. It was kind of cool, that Northwestern game at Wrigley. That was neat.
all right. Anything else on college football? Nothing. All right. Who's got a punch?
I've got one. Anyone else?
I've got one too.
Why don't you go first?
All right. So this came in actually from cousin Justin, who maybe should get his own punch for putting me in a bad spot in the Plaxicos. But and this was a good one. Did you guys see the hit that Ryan Reeves put on Darnell Nurse? That Ryan Reeves, the New York, I guess he's who does he play for now? Calgary, or no, I'm sorry, Toronto. He plays for Toronto Maple Leafs with the headshot on Darnell Nurse. I mean, just flying down into the corner, total, shoulder to the face, busted the guy's face open. Reeves is a thug, and people like to make fun and give grief to Tom Wilson. Tom Wilson plays hockey and scores goals. Reeves has something like 1 point in 16 games. All he is a thug, enforcer guy out there. And this was a really dirty shot. If you haven't seen it yet, Moose Jaw, man, you should be throwing a punch too, out of respect for the game, even though it's your own player. This was ugly. And he did get a game misconduct and probably is going to get a pretty lengthy suspension over it. It was a really ugly, unnecessary hit. So Ryan Reeves, you're getting a punch. You deserve it. And by the way, he's probably going to get more punches because the next time they play Edmonton, there's going to probably be someone who goes after him too. So
interesting. Rooster, I've got a punch
what do you
too. Unless you want to go.
You can go. Go ahead.
Well, I'm pretty pissed about our baseball situation here in Tampa. We already have nowhere to play this coming year, so we're playing in a minor league stadium at George Steinbrenner Field.
Maybe you can sell it out.
Capacity 9,500, so we will sell it out maybe. But over the weekend, I don't know if you guys saw this, so we've been really excited about building a new stadium, except I hate the location over in St. Pete. And what do you know? But over the weekend, our owner is now threatening to destroy the whole stadium deal because our Pinellas County, not Tampa, Pinellas County, St. Petersburg, has basically been like, they're supposed to vote on these bonds that are basically is going to help pay for the new stadium. And they keep pushing back the vote, which is causing delays in the timeline, construction timelines, every time they're pushing this vote back. And I guess part of the agreement, any delays are all the costs of the delays go to the team to have to pay. So the owner's getting like, what the fuck are y'all doing? You keep delaying this. Our costs are rising. And now he's starting to pull the whole thing out. And God knows what's going to happen. So here we are again, stadium deal maybe done. And at that point, I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe they will go to Montreal. F you, Pinellas County. I hate you. You're the reason that this has all happened. I'm sick of them. You got to let go. Come to Tampa where the stadium belongs. We'll get the deal done here. So I'm punching Pinellas County in the face. We're going to lose baseball.
Milt, think how much fun that's going to be though to have them play at that stadium for a year.
It is going to be cool. I'm excited.
I mean, it is kind of cool.
Yeah. You guys will have like
love it.
Cool little gimmick shit going on, and it'll be fun.
Some minor league stuff going on.
Maybe the Savannah Bananas can come in for a game.
Yes.
It'll be fun.
It's going to be cool when I take my kids to a Bucks game and walk right across the street to the Rays game. There's like 3 games where they have that scheduled to happen.
Oh, that's cool.
Or potentially.
Cool.
I don't know.
All right, Rooster, you got a punch?
I do. I'm going to punch the NFL. If you guys think about, I just want to take you through some bad actors. You remember when Henry Ruggs got drunk and killed somebody? Non-stop coverage of that. Non-stop on ESPN, pregame shows, you name it. When Kareem Hunt hit a woman. Same thing with Ray Rice. Lots of coverage of it. ESPN covered it ad nauseum, as they should have. The pregame guys all talked about it on the NFL Today shows and everything. Same thing with Kaepernick when he took a knee and protested. It was covered everywhere. Couldn't get away from it. When just recently it was disclosed that former Lions linebacker Antoine Williams has been arrested for assaulting police officers on January 6th, and they have footage of him punching a cop in the face. He's a big dude. I mean, he's a former linebacker, dressed in assault gear, wearing a mask. Thing was, the guy was so stupid. He had this bright red car key chain hanging off of his pants in the photo, which
They identified him.
he had on his belt when they arrested him. But there's been crickets about this. You didn't hear a damn thing about it on the pregame Sunday shows. You didn't hear a thing about it on ESPN. The NFL doesn't want to cover it, and I think it's because they're afraid of the president-elect. They just are, and it's kind of a shame. Grow some balls, man, and cover everything. Bad is bad. Cover it all equally. Stop being pussies. I'm giving them a punch.
Punching him just like this guy did, huh?
Yeah. Arrest me.
All right. Does anybody have a lasso?
Fuck lassos.
Whoa. Wow.
All right. All right.
After that,
Nothing good happened?
All right. How about a buzzer beater?
I have a nice. Go ahead, Pope.
So, we have a lot of the NBA season left, so we're not really touching on it that much. But I think we ought to at least acknowledge this amazing start by the Cleveland Cavaliers. So they are 15-0, which ties for the second best start in NBA history. Anyone know what the best start was?
No.
I think it was Golden State 22-0 or
Close.
27-0.
24-0 in
Okay.
2015, 2016.
That was, don't you remember that was the year that Pope was a Warriors fan?
That's right.
One of the many years.
All right. So
So
they got
anyway,
a ways to go.
I think they got a ways to go, but nobody saw that one coming for sure. And how about Golden State? They're 10-2. They're number one in the West. I don't think anybody had them there either.
True.
Yeah.
How
Rooster,
about
you got a buzzer?
I got two. One of them I'm going to throw out for House because I know he would bring this up. Who saw Jared McCain coming when he was drafted out of Duke, number 16 overall? I didn't think he was going to be quite this good. He's last three games, he scored 27 against the Hornets, 23 against the Knicks, and 34 against the Cavs. He had to step in for Maxey, who was hurt, but man, the guy's playing so well. Seems to be Nick Nurse ought to start both of those guys together, sort of like he did back when he was coaching Van Fleet and Kyle Lowry, played them at the same time. So that's number one. Number two, a little history. Today, in 1966, when Pope was probably still in the oven.
No, I was born.
Oh, were you?
I was about 6 weeks old.
Okay. All right.
Wow.
Sandy Koufax, having just lost a World Series game, a three-time Cy Young Award winner, retired at the age of 30 because he said he had a bad elbow.
Wow.
I mean, with modern medicine, imagine if that guy pitched until he was like 35 years old. What his stats would be.
Right.
I mean, he was
wild.
amazing. He was amazing.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good buzzer beater. I like that. Milk, you got one?
Not tonight.
All right. And I'll just mention that this weekend we've got the Las Vegas Grand Prix, and it's very possible, I think, that Max Verstappen can lock up his fourth consecutive world championship. The constructors is going to probably go a little longer, but lots at stake here as we start on the triple header to wrap up the season. All eyes will be on the Strip this weekend.
Hopefully they'll bolt down the sewer covers this time.
No kidding.
Yeah, right. Exactly. All right, guys, have a good week. We want Dallas.
Oh, you'll
Bring it.
get
Beat Dallas.
anybody
Yeah.
can have them.
Fuck the Cowboys.